What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Richard Prophet, the Last Dragon. And if you got a Fugazi on, the streets ain't safe no more. Let's roll the best intro in the watch game and we'll get into it.
Cheers, family.
All right, this video, it's been a long time coming, and man, it's been a long time coming, and I can't wait, and here we go. All right. That's what we on tonight, family. I drink a lot of scotch, 21, 18, 15, 14, 12, but I'll be honest with you. To me, my favorite has to be a 15-year. Whether Glenfiddich or Glenlivet, the 15-year is my favorite. It's my personal favorite. Cheers, fam. All right, now, those that are not new to the watch community, right? If you've been around, let's say, I want to say about more than 5 years, you remember a time when Instagram had almost no watches on it. There was almost no Instagram posts of watches. Why is that, Prophet? What do you mean? Nobody was into watches 5 years ago? Sure there was. No, the general watch community, right, would post would make YouTube videos, but it wasn't really big on Instagram, right? So on Instagram, there were really almost no watches on Instagram. And there were two reasons for that. One was the fake watch buster, and two was the Rolex enforcer. I mean, hey, if you know, you know. I mean, these guys were they were brutal. They were savage. It was mostly like rappers. Like rappers would post these fake watches, these fake Rolex, mostly Rolex watches on Instagram or whatever. Oh, these two guys would zero in on them, shout them out, say you had a Fugazi on, and post their page, their handle on the video so people could go to them and roast them. Oh man. I mean, they caught so many people that he made, these two guys, they made the watch streets of Instagram quiet. They weren't safe. None of these rappers that wore Fugazi would post it on Instagram because they had to be careful, before they crossed the Instagram street, they looked both ways to make sure the Rolex enforcer or fake watch buster wasn't out there to just shout them out to the world. I mean, there's even rap songs made about these guys. So yeah, but like now they have all these policies in place, so these guys have quieted down and they disappeared and they're not around anymore. But so the Rolex enforcer, he still has his page. So he's a buddy of mine. Rolex enforcer is a buddy of mine. He also has another Instagram handle, which is Rolex and Cigars. If you're not following him already, go follow him. He talks a lot about, he knows a lot. He's knowledgeable about a lot of subjects. But he's in real estate, he's into cigars, he's into watches. So we have a lot of the same interests. So we're buddies, right? So, and he was the Rolex enforcer, or is the Rolex enforcer. He's not active anymore, but he is the Rolex enforcer. So, I mean, listen. If you can see a picture of a watch, a fuzzy picture of a watch and point out to me why that watch is bogus, why that watch is fugazi, then I mean, you know, that's a talent, that's a skill. I mean, you are blessed by God to you know, that's an incredible talent to be shared with the world, and you know, expose these charlatans for who they are. I mean, hey, you know, I mean, if you are out there and you're wearing a fake Rolex, right? You are trying to tell you're fooling the world. You're lying to the world. You are trying to tell the world that, look, you know, I have made the sacrifices. I've applied the discipline. I've took the chances where, you know, it has allowed me to come to this stage in my life where I can wear a beautiful Rolex watch, you know. And you know, you're just lying. You're just lying to the people. You know, you could have wore, you know, something genuine in your price range, and you know, as you moved up financially in life, you could have, you know, you could have came to an entry level Rolex steel piece or whatever, and then moved up the ladder. But no, you chose to lie and fraud and put on a fugazi and try to tell the world that you have made the same sacrifices that the man next to you wearing a genuine piece, a genuine Rolex on his arm has. And you know, you belong. No, you don't. You wearing a fugazi. You need to be exposed. And I know just the guy to do it. So check this out. So I've been following him for years. He he doesn't expose people anymore, but on his other channel, he talks real estate, he talks watches, he talks just a lot of, you know, just a lot of education. This man is a wealth of knowledge. So, but he's been dormant on the exposing the fugazis for a long time. I mean, I'm telling you, when these guys were out, there was no rappers putting fake watches on Instagram. There was no, you would go to a bar, you would go out, bar, restaurant, lounge, whatever, smoke lounge, whatever. There was nobody standing next to you, you know, with a steel bogus landlord on. Or or what I used to see a lot was day dates in a model, you know, in a format that Rolex didn't even make. It was crazy. That once these guys were out, when the Rolex Enforcer was out, you didn't see that anymore because he wiped the streets of all that BS, man. And I really appreciated that. He made us as true Rolex lovers, you know, people in the Rolex community, feel better about the whole Rolex community because we knew the streets were safe. We knew the streets were clean. So anyway, that channel's been dormant for a while, right? So today he goes live on every now and again. So today he goes live, right? A little earlier he goes live, and I'm like, oh man, Rolex and Cigars is going live, and it just so happens. Well, anyway, so he's going live, and I'm like, I've never been on his live before. I don't really, you know, do that kind of stuff, but he goes live and he's chatting to his people, blah blah blah. He's talking about some real estate issues, like he had some concrete he was putting down in one of his buildings. So whatever, I've been there, done that. I know what it is. It's a headache. But anyway, so he's chatting to his people, and I said, you know what? It's gonna be crazy right now. I'm gonna join his live. So I requested to join his live. He accepted me. He goes, yo, Prophet, what's up? I'm like, yeah, what's up, big homie? Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yo, check this out. Look where I am. And I panned the phone back, and it just so happens I'm at my Rolex AD. Well, one of the ADs I use when I'm in New York, right? And he's like, why are you crazy? And I'm like, yeah, check this out. You want to see what's inside? Because he started to talk about watches, Rolex and stuff, about the craziness that's going on now, that you can't get a watch, you can't get a steel piece at retail unless you plugged in, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, look, I'm about to walk in the AD. You want to see what they have in the case? Come on, I'll show you. He's like, yeah, show us. So I'm like, come on. So I take my phone in, I go into the AD and say, what's up, Prophet? Yeah. And I show him the case, And there's one, there's 136 Datejust. There was 136 steel Datejust in the showcase. In the big, one, two, three, four display cases. There was 136 steel Datejust in the showcase. Everything else was empty. I was like, this is crazy. I was telling the associate, look, how you work, part of your salary is on commission. How do you make a living, with no merchandise? And she was like, I mean, my guy wasn't there. He was on vacation, but I was speaking to the young lady, and she was like, so anyway, yeah. So I showed on Rolex and Cigars. I showed his live. I showed what was in the case. And it was crazy. We just came out. So I came outside. We started to chat. And it was a heck of a talk, man. We stood on about an hour, man. And I was telling him, listen, brother, I know you don't want to do it, but we need you. We need you out here. The streets is Fugazi Central. I mean, I can't tell you, like when these guys were out, Fake Watchbuster and my buddy Rolex Enforcer, when they were out, when they were active in the streets, you would go out, like, let's say you at a bar or whatever, and you'd be at the bar and some guy, you look over, standing right next to you, and he'd be watchless. Nothing on the wrist. He'd be watchless, right? Nowadays, you go out to a bar, I'm telling you, especially if you're in Miami, or certain parts of New York, like if you're in Uptown, you go out and every four guys, like not every fourth guy, like every 1, 2, 3, 4 guys wearing a watch is Fugazi, is bogus. It's either a terrible knockoff or one of these good knockoffs. But if you're in the watch community, if you're in the Rolex community, it's a knockoff. I mean, it's crazy, man. I'm seeing, like I said earlier, I'm seeing what I haven't seen in years. I'm seeing day dates come back in configurations that they don't even make. With like, it's ridiculous purple stones. I'm like, in my mind, I'm thinking Rolex doesn't even make that, guy. And I'm like looking at it, and I'm like, it's like, I'm really disgusted. So anyway, I mean, are there any real watches out there? Or are there any real left? Is it just the people in the watch community that wear real watches and everybody else, is bogus? It's crazy. I mean, so anyway, so I'm talking to my guy. We chatting it up. We start getting really into watches because he's heavy into watches. He loves the watch. He has a lot of love for watches. As a matter of fact, he had the Sky Dweller, my favorite Sky Dweller. They don't even make anymore. I don't know why Rolex discontinued this. I thought this was the perfect Sky Dweller. It was the rose gold. I believe it's like a sun-dust dial with the Romans. Ooh, that watch was so sweet. And he ended up selling that watch. I don't know why he sold it, but I told him, man, when you sold that watch, you broke my heart, man. You really broke my heart when you sold that watch. I think he was making another investment or whatever, but he broke my heart when he sold that watch. He was like, yeah, man, that's one I really regret. I really regret selling, but yeah, and they don't even make that watch anymore. They discontinued that watch. Now the Sky Dweller has sticks on it. I mean, it's cool, but the Romans were so much better. So anyway, he's talking about, yeah, I want to jump back into Rolex, this and that, but these steel pieces, I don't want to pay $25,000. I don't want to pay $20,000 for a $10,000 watch. If I can get these, any GMT at retail, if I can get any of these steel pieces, steel landlord at retail, if I can get any steel piece at retail, I would. But I don't want to pay $25,000 for a $10,000 watch. Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. I mean, I wouldn't be paying, over retail. I mean, I'm blessed. I got some ADs that give me calls. And I got I got my buddy the Ghost, the super collector. He gets anything he wants, and you know, he shows me a lot of love. He'll offer me a piece, if I want it. When he tells me he got a new piece, and I'm like, oh man, I would really love that. He'll bless me. He'll let me have it. Or I can order a piece with him, and he'll get it allocated to him, and he'll bless me with it. That's my bro. That's my brother. It's one of my quarters, my 4 quarters. Cheers to you, Ghost. Anyway, yeah. So I tell him, I know it's crazy, man. I understand. I wouldn't be paying 20 grand for a steel piece either, man. And he's like, oh, it's unsustainable, this and that. I'm like, nah, that's where you're wrong. It is sustainable. Not only is it sustainable, but it's going to keep rising. These watches, I remember these steel pieces when all this craziness began, late 2016, early 2017, like it was the very beginning. And then it's sustainable. It's not only sustainable, but it's increasing, because before it was only like 2 grand over. Then it became 3 grand over, and it was 5 grand over. Now it's 10. Now it's 100% over. You see what I'm saying? So not only is it sustainable, but it's inflating. It's like inflation. It's inflating. The prices are really going bananas. The Rolex market is going bananas. Now, when people say, oh, but they make 1 million watches a year. They make 1 million, 1.2 million watches a year. But you got to understand. Oh, why can't I get a Batman? Why can't I get a Pepsi and a Jubilee? Why can't I, get the Dragon watch? Anyway, look, this is something you have to understand. All right, they make over 1 million watches a year, right? 100,000 watches a month, right? Oh, so they're out there. Why can't I get a Batman? Okay. They make all these watches. Yes, they do, right? Everybody knows it's common knowledge. Rolex makes over $1 million watches a year. But you have to understand how many different watch models Rolex has. They only don't just make the landlord watch, just make the Batman, just make the Pepsi, just make, there's several hundreds. As a matter of fact, I think just of the Datejust alone, I mean, you can quote me if I'm wrong. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below. But I think just of the Datejust alone, in all these different configurations, there's over 500 different configurations of the Datejust, right? So with so many different variations of a watch, okay, they make 1 million watches a year, but how many of those are GMTs? How many of those are landlord watches? How many of those are day-days? How many of those are the hot models? You follow what I'm saying? So now it makes a little more sense why the demand is much greater than the supply. The demand is much greater. And that with the fact where there's a lot of cheap money in the streets, a lot of people, there's a lot of money sloshing around, a lot of cheap money sloshing around. And another issue is there's a lot of people being brought into the watch hobby. There's a lot of people maybe being brought into raising up from maybe middle class to upper middle class. So now, what is the first item that you want when you start making some money? Why? Most people, okay, you want a car, you want this and that, but you want a beautiful, especially if you're a guy. And now women, I know women with great pieces. Now, what do you want? You want a beautiful timepiece. And mostly you want a Rolex on your wrist because, hey, I made it. Look, mom, I got a Rolex. I made it, So as more and more people are brought into the hobby, the demand is going to increase. And look at the Far East, look at Asia. You got more and more people being brought into the middle class, upper middle class every single day. So, that's a big dragon on the other side of the world that eats all day. And, they'll eat anything you make, anything you can throw at it, they'll eat it. So that is why all these facts, coupled together is why Okay, they make over 1 million watches a year, but that is the reason why you can't just walk in and the showcase is full of all the pieces you want. I remember 2016, 2015, 2014, walking into a Rolex AD, let's say here in New York City, time machine. You would walk in to the right-hand side, was the Rolex area. You would walk in, and every single showcase had every single piece that you could want. You wanted GMT, right there. You wanted a solid gold, right there. As a matter of fact, when you would buy a solid gold, because this happened to me, as a matter of fact, 2016, you could get 15 to 18% off of that piece that you wanted if you were buying a solid gold piece, 2016 and earlier. So now you can't even get one, Now, you got to be allocated, you got to be VIP, you got to be lucky, whatever. But I remember a time, a lot of people don't know this. A lot of people won't even believe me when I tell you, but I remember a time when you could get 15 to 18% off a solid gold piece. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, that's over now. But back to my buddy, the Rolex Enforcer. So, I mean, now the streets are so disrespectful. You go to Miami, you go to New York, you go to Uptown. Everywhere you go, like I was saying, every 4 guys, not every 4th guy, every 4 guys next to you is wearing a fake watch, is wearing a Fugazi, is wearing something bogus on his wrist. And it's just disgusting, man. So I was telling my buddy today, listen, we need you out here. The streets need you out here. The streets are, the street is raining these Fugazi pieces, and I'm just disgusted, man. And he was like, yeah, Prophet, I know, but, Instagram has this thing where the anti-bullying, and I don't want them to take down my page, this and that. And I didn't even know that Instagram had that. But I was told that a guy had a page up, and he had like 150,000 followers or whatever, and, he was exposing people, and they pulled his page from him. My buddy told me, I didn't even know that. Like, wow. But I understand, but we need you, man. If you're watching this video, we need you. We need you out here. We need you. We need you. The streets don't want you. I understand that. But the Rolex community or the watch community as a whole, we need you out here. And maybe, he was telling me, actually, he was like, Prophet, I want to do something with you on YouTube. Maybe we can go on YouTube and expose, talk watches, talk Rolex, talk, because you got a lot of experience with Rolex, with real estate, with, cigar. You like a lot of the stuff I like. And I was like, yeah, man, we should do something. He wants to sit down. Maybe we do a channel and we talk real estate. We talk watches. I mean, and really like educate the people, man, because, I'm also, he was mentioning some names of these fake gurus on real estate selling you these courses, this and that on YouTube. And it's really getting me sick, man. Like, I forget the name he said, but, it's this little wimp, nothing turd on YouTube talking about, he's doing this in real estate, he's doing that, and he goes to collect his rent. You never collected rent a day in your life. What do you know about real estate? The only thing you know about real estate is, make-believe that you're saying on YouTube. And you probably never even bought a rental property until you started making money off your YouTube. I mean, what do you know? What do you know about going into the South Bronx, the South Bronx at 7 o'clock at night with a snub nose, with a snub nose and a brown paper bag, going upstairs to knock and collect rent by yourself? What do you know about that? You don't know. In the 5th floor walk up, what do you know about that? You don't know nothing about that. So don't tell me anything that you know about real estate, because that's make believe. That's make believe. That's a magic show that you made up for people on YouTube to believe, because people just, they want something to believe. They want to be a part of something. So they'll run and they'll join your course. Hey, click the link below for 25% off of what? Off of what? Your lies? Yeah. No, thank you. No, thank you. Post your Schedule E. Let me see your schedule. Why don't you make a video with your Schedule E? Post that And then I'll make another video saying, wow, this guy's the real deal. But if you can't post your Schedule E, don't tell me nothing about real estate, because you're a fugazi. And the Rolex enforcer, we need you out here for things like this. You know, I want you to expose these fugazi watch havers, expose these people, these real estate fake gurus, you know, just stealing from the community, man, and stealing for people that are hungry, you know, hungry for knowledge, hungry to get involved in real estate. You know, they're looking for mentors. They might not know where to go, and they just, you know, they fall victim to these predators, these phony fake gurus on YouTube selling you their programs like, it's all levels, right? There's some very small selling you their make-believe nonsense programs, and then there's some very big. This is very big landlord, and he's out there telling you, don't buy a house, don't buy a house, don't buy a house. Rent where you live, rent where you live, and just send your money to me and invest in my fund. What kind of foolishness is that? Are you a renter, my man? No, you're not. No, you're not. You do the paperwork on this guy. He lives in a nice condo in Miami. I know the building. He lives in a nice condo in Miami. Well, actually, now he just closed on a home in Golden Beach. You think I don't know? I know. You just closed on a home in Golden Beach. But when he said all this foolishness, he lived in a nice condo in Miami that, you know, he was renting. He's right. He was renting. It wasn't under his name. He was renting it from his company. Come on. You can push that malarkey on kids that don't know, right? But you can't push that on real estate people. They know. They know you own the condo, so stop it. You've never lived in a rental. All right, so stop it. Stop it. So anyway, Rolex Enforcer, you're watching this video. I know you're watching this video. You need to save the people, save the community, save the watch community, and save the minds of these young people, man, that are just looking. They're looking for something better. They're looking for a way out. Like, they're on the streets. I grew up in impoverished youth. I had an impoverished youth. I grew up rough, and real estate is the answer, man. Real estate is the answer to all your problems. Real estate is the answer to all your problems. And a beautiful Rolex will carry you through your journey. So you have all the knowledge. We need you, man. We need you. If you want to collab with me, we could do something great. I have a small bit of knowledge compared to you. You are, you're the big homie in the space. And you forgot more about watches than than anybody knows on YouTube, except probably for like Archie Luxury, and that guy that tells every spec of the watch, But other than that, so much about watches that is crazy. A guy that can spot a fake watch from a mile away on a picture on the phone hey, that's a blessing, man. That's a talent. And we need it. And you know a lot about real estate. You're in the game. You got a few buildings. You got a nice portfolio. You're in the game. Your family's been in the game for years. So we need you out there, man. I would love to collab with you. We need to sit down. We need to get together. Hey, we could talk real estate. We could talk Rolex. We could talk cars. We can talk cigar. We could talk whatever you want. We have a lot of the same interests. And we need you to save the youth, brother. You can save the youth. It's in your hands right now. You can save the youth. And I'm here to help you, man, however I can. All right, I'm your host, Richard Prophet. And I'm just telling you, the streets might not be safe in the next little bit. I'm your host, Richard Prophet, the last dragon of the watch community. And Be careful. Be careful. If you're wearing a Fugazi, be careful. All right, I'll see you on Sunday, everybody.
Cheers, family.